he had a different attitude, a bit less concern about all these things that used to be very important to him. And he was like, I just started boxing to get fit. Now I've got all this pressure. That's a quote. You know what I mean? I talked about in the interview how much he can be a hero to people, and some of the people look up to it. And he's just like, what do I care about that for anymore? Like, that doesn't even matter to me. You, as not just his promoter, but his longtime friend, someone who actually cares about him personally, is that something you have to help him fight against? Maybe not.
I think that a lot of the time when Josh speaks to the cameras, especially after a fight, he's quite emotional, and he doesn't always speak the same as he would speak when he was chilled out and reflecting on life. Like, I think he's very proud of the job that he's done, but I feel like he also is disappointed that maybe he's never really got the credit as a fighter and also as an ambassador. But you would never hear him say, come on, look what I've done for the sport. I've given my time. I've done this. I've inspired the next generation. And I think sometimes he just loses a little bit of faith in the sport and in, not the public, but just like, I think he's kind of like, what more can I do to keep people? I said earlier about keeping people happy. And I just think he's reached a stage in his life where he's gone, since I've turned pro, I've tried my best to be the best fighter I can, to give my heart and soul to this sport, to be a good ambassador, to give people my time. And if you ain't happy now, I'm sorry, I can't do any more. So this phase in his career is really about him. I haven't listened to the Seconds Out thing with Tom Hauser. It still baffles me that someone wants to go and give an opinion. Like, why are you talking about Anthony Joshua? Granted, he gets views, but you don't have this opinion about other fighters that are actually in decline and have actually taken punishment. You're singling out Anthony Joshua randomly out of nowhere. You've never really met him for longer than 20 seconds. You've never had a conversation with him. You've never been to a training session. You've never watched a spar. And you're giving all this opinion about this man's career. And I get it. He's from the media. He's got a right to write whatever he wants. But it's just weird. Like, because I see a man who has changed his style. He's training harder than he's ever trained before. He's more determined than he's ever trained before. He's enjoying his boxing more than he's ever enjoyed before. What right do you have as a man to tell someone that they should stop doing that? It's ridiculous. I mean,
Those are the words of Eddie Hearn and Radio Raheem here. And Eddie talks about Anthony Joshua, and Eddie Joshua's losing faith a bit in the sport, not the public, but the sport. First of all, I think the sport of boxing is viewed by the public. Okay, you have the public, the fans, and the fighters, and everyone else. And him losing faith in boxing, I think what he should do is just keep winning. No, we haven't really heard Joshua saying, look at everything I've done, but yes, we have, though. We've heard him say, like, oh, well, look, I carry boxing on my back. What do you think that means? That means that he's done a lot in the sport, or he feels that he's carrying heavyweight boxing. You know what I mean? Now, to be honest, if there was no golden boy in the heavyweight division for the last 5 or 6 years, it would have been dead since Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. Because we know the Klitschko era was probably the worst era. It wasn't because of the talent, it was because of the performances that the talent and the fighters had at the time, and they made at the time. Vladimir Klitschko and Vitali Klitschko had like a sense of communism when it came to boxing heavyweight-wise. Because there was no stars. There was no American stars. There was no guys that actually, challenged the Klitschkos. And then you had Tyson Fury, and he came over, and he did win. But he won, on a really boring performance. Even Tyson Fury admits that. And since then, what happened after that? He got found cocaine in left the sport, you know? So if it wasn't for Wilder, you know, he was so small of a commodity at the time, nobody really respected him. The management that he had really didn't want to manage him to be where anybody could see him. So we didn't really have anybody besides Anthony Joshua, you know, and when we did see him, we had him. I think we appreciated him. And here's the deal. If Anthony Joshua didn't feel appreciated, he can at least appreciate the money that he received from the endorsements, the promotions, the brands. All of these have made him a lot of money. Anthony Joshua is on the 10 top highest paid boxers of all time. Okay? Like first being Mayweather, you know what I mean? Second, third being Pacquiao or De La Hoya, Klitschko's, both of them. You know what I'm saying? These guys, you know, Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. Well, Lennox Lewis, not Evander Holyfield, but Lennox Lewis. A lot of these guys are rich. Sugar Ray Leonard, he's on the top. He's the number 10th boxer, and he's currently boxing. All of those other guys that I mentioned are retired. All of them. So him thinking that, oh man, I'm losing faith in the sport, maybe what it is, you've been compensated, and you've been compensated so long, you've had money so long, to the point that you're really getting tired of the sport, or you want other things to look at besides your banking account. And I get it. But people, if you want appreciation, you can't appreciate anybody else besides the money that they make. You know what I mean? I think that speaks for itself. People are going to talk shit, like Canelo. You know, they're going to talk shit, right? They are. But that goes with the territory. That goes with the territory. That's what's going to happen. They're going to talk shit. And him losing faith in the sport, look, that's not a good sign. When you hear talk like that, you know, talks like that plant seeds. You know, you speak it, believe it, receive it. You speak it out in the atmosphere. That's a real thing. I wholeheartedly believe in that. What you speak, what is will be. Okay? And you know, if you say you're not going to do anything, or you say you're losing faith, therefore you are. Because things are going to come into play where you will actually start losing faith in the sport of boxing, because you spoke it, because you've already thought it. So now you're speaking it. So now you're speaking it, you're like, okay, well, what the hell? I'm losing faith in the sport. That's not a good sign when you're supposed to be fighting one of the hardest hitting fighters in this era. And that's Deontay Wilder. So that's just me counterpunching. Radio Raheem here and Eddie Hearn. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.